Hi ladies and gents, in this video we'll look at how to model your site terrain three-dimensionally in Sketchup. We'll start with how to flatten your AutoCAD contours and then how to import your contours into Sketchup, and we'll look at how to model your site topography in Sketchup similar to the example that you see on the screen, and then lastly we'll look at how to export a JPEG scene and you will submit then both your JPEG and your SketchUp file for assessment. The first thing we want to do is just to go over to your AutoCAD file and just clean up your drawing. So any information that's still on your drawing, your trees, your roads, everything other than your contour lines, you can just delete and then just go to your layers panel and check that all your layers are switched on and delete everything other than your contour lines. And then next you want to just purge. So just type in purge and you'll see a purge dialog appears, and that just ensures that your drawing is completely clean, no unnecessary blocks, layers and so forth. And so you can just, under the named items not used, just check the box that says all items and purge checked items, and then say purge all checked items. And once the process is done, just click on close and you will see that your drawing will your layers will be reduced to only the layers that are currently in use in the drawing. Then you just want to save that drawing. So save as, give it a name like contours for SketchUp, save. You won't be using this drawing for anything other than to import into SketchUp. And then while you save, just make sure that you uh, set where it says files of type, just set or save in a version equivalent to the SketchUp version that you have. So I'll be working on SketchUp 2016. So I either need to find 2016 or select something earlier. So 2013 will also suffice. This ensures that the file can be opened in SketchUp. Then once you've done that, just save your file. Um, and then the last thing we want to do is just to flatten the drawing. So you'll see on the top right corner of my screen that there is a viewing cube, and what that cube allows you to do is allows you to navigate and view your drawing from different angles, so either from the top or the front or the side. And you'll see if I click on the front view, that my contours are not on the same level. So they are actually plotted according to the actual height on site based on the survey that we were working off. But the issue there is if I import the contours as they are into SketchUp, then they will be imported at different levels, which will make it a bit tricky to start generating the faces and modeling in SketchUp. So what you want to do is go back to the top view, select, so do a selection window, select your contour lines and type flatten. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to remove hidden lines? Just say NO for no, press enter. Then once it's done flattening, you can go back to your front view again and you'll notice that the drawing is now flat. And that is what we want for importing into SketchUp. Then you can just hit save. And then we can go over to SketchUp. Just going to open a new file. So the next step will be to import our AutoCAD contours into SketchUp. To do that, you go to File, you go to Import, And then what you want to do is just to set the file. So select the file. I think by default it might say SketchUp file. So you want to just click on AutoCAD files, DWG, DXF, and then you want to select the contours for SketchUp file that we've just created and select import. Give it a few seconds. It gives you a dialog that says import results. Hit close and your AutoCAD contours are imported into SketchUp. For those that are working on the online version, I have saved the SketchUp file with the imported contours because the free version of SketchUp Online doesn't allow you to import AutoCAD files. And so you can just import follow the same process, say import, and then import the created SketchUp file that I have made available for you. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to start generating the relevant faces. But you will notice when you click on your contours that it is imported as a component, an equivalent of a AutoCAD block. So you can just right click and explode. Give it a few seconds and your contour lines are exploded into separate items. Next thing you want to do is to create a square that is the same size as our contour base plan. So you just click on the rectangle command, specify an insertion point away from your contours, and just type in 100,000 millimeters and then comma 100,000 and enter. Then you can just double click on that square, make group, and use the move tool and move it over to where your contours are located. Next, you want to just double click inside that component, the group that you've just created, and use the push pull tool and pull it downwards or push it downwards by 500 millimeters. Press enter, and that will be the base for your contour model. And then once you've done that, you want to just join. I see there's that contour, the 13-meter contour is still open there, so you can just use your line tool to just join those two lines. Because you generate your faces, you need all your lines enclosed, and then go to the selection tool or the select tool, select all your contours including the base, the square base that we've just created. Right click and say intersect faces with model. Give it a few seconds. Then you can right click and select everything again, right click and say explode. And you will see when I click between my contour lines that the faces have been generated. So what I can do next is to start allocating the different color codes. So for the 250 contour lines, I'm going to allocate light green color code. And you can go to your default tray, go to materials and just set that to colors. It should by default be on color. Allocate the light green color to your 500 millimeter, your 250 millimeter contours. And then we're going to go with a little bit of a darker green for the 1 meter contour lines. We know that the first contour that we have is the 750. And then immediately after that, we got the 10 meter contour, which is a 1 meter contour. Then we're going to switch back to the lighter tone and add that to the next 3 contour lines. and then again the 1 meter contour. Then we're going to follow that same process. Obviously, you will need to look at your AutoCAD plan, look at the values on there, and make sure that you are working with the correct contours in terms of allocating the relevant color codes. I think there is a different color code that I use. So you will do that for the rest of your model. And then from there, you can start modeling your terrain. So you start pulling up your contour lines, but at this moment we want to start by pulling down this contour line, which sits lower than the 10 meter contour line. So we're going to start with that. We're going to use a push pull and just click on that face and pull it down by 250. So we're going to push it down by 250. And then you leave the 10 meter contour line and then go to the next contour line, which is 250 above the 10 meter contour line. So we can just say 250, enter. The next one will be 500, enter. And then 750, enter. And 1000 meters for the 11 meter contour line. And you can do the same for the rest of your contours. You also have the option of either pulling the contour to the height of the previous contour of the contour face, and then from there just push that up by 250. So you can decide how you want to go about it. Otherwise, you always have to use the value of the previous contour level and add 250 on top of that. Okay, so once you've modeled all your contour lines, you can just go over to your default tray, scroll down to the tab that says Scenes, and then orbit and pan, and make sure that your model is at a legible scale on your screen, and then create a scene. So you just click on the Add Scene symbol, and you will see there's a tab that's added at the top, which means that scene has been saved. And then you go to File, Save As. My apologies. So you go to File, Export, 2D Graphic, and export the JPEG scene. And once you've exported your scene, you can submit both the JPEG file and the file onto Blackboard. If you want to give your exported scene a little bit of a crisp feel, like the example on the screen, you can just go over to your styles. So in the default tray, there is a tab called Styles. So if you just click on that and select the first option, the 3D printing style, you will see that the edges and the lines are a little bit more crisp. So that is an option that you can look at before you export your scene. And then if for whatever reason you cannot see your default tray, just go to Window, Default Tray, and click on Show Tray. And your tray should appear to the right of your screen. And that will be it for this particular session. So you can just submit your files onto Blackboard for assessment. Cheers.